Welcome to Blood in the Snow Radio, where we give you the latest news and interviews with the best in Canadian genre cinema. Here are your hosts, Robert Bellamy and Festival Director Kelly Michael Stewart.
We are here at Blood in the Snow 2023, and guys, it is a blast to sit down and chat with you. If you could introduce yourselves and your project.
I'm Brett Butler, writer, director, producer of Purgatory Jack.
And I am Jason Butler, writer, director, producer of Purgatory Jack. We're the Butler brothers.
And I am the brains and the brawn of the operation.
He got that on recording. Well, guys, the film is a blast. I know we've talked about it before and stuff, but where did the idea for Purgatory Jack come from?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we were discussing our next project and what kind of movies were interesting us, and we both kind of landed on the idea of a hard-boiled detective story. You know, we love those, the old school, like Philip Marlowe and then Long Goodbye, your Chinatown, and we started kicking around ideas about that, and then we kind of got into talking about the lack of looking into, say, the disappearance of sex workers and Indigenous women, and that was kind of a conversation we were having, a detective on the prowl for that. And we knew we couldn't really take that on ourselves in terms of, you know, we didn't know as much about that, so that's why we kind of came up with the allegory, using musicians, because that's something we're very impassioned about. And you know, that there's these disappearing female musicians. And then we kind of discussed where that would be. And I'm not sure exactly how we ended up in Purgatory.
Yeah, I don't know how we ended up in Purgatory. I think, you know, always as filmmakers, you're always trying to sort of learn from your past films and challenge yourself for the next one. It's like, we really haven't done anything like this. So, you know, as a storytelling, actually having a mystery and clues and solving things, that was very intriguing. And I think then on top of that, we're like, okay, well, if we put it in a different realm, it gives us more freedom, and gives us sort of, we get to make up rules, which sounds fun at first, but then it can be rather intimidating. So then it's sort of blow it way out and then pull it back in, but all sort of in the template of having a cool kind of Philip Marlowe-esque, you know, private eye sort of, and all these strange characters circling around his universe.
Yeah, I think as storytellers, you always want to be kind of that Wizard of Oz, just in control, puppet mastering. And the idea of putting it in Purgatory, where we are in absolute control of the rules, is very appealing to the ego of writing and filmmaking.
And I think also, you know, a lot of our films we kind of shoot and they have like kind of an anachronistic feel to them, which is it's sort of out of time, and we enjoy analog, and we knew, again, if we were setting it in the now and it was a private eye story, it's tricky because there's so many ways to find out information. And then how do we avoid having that, you know?
Let me just Google that.
Yeah, let me Google, let me track that. You know, without making it a period piece, which again has its challenges in terms of filmmaking and scope of making everything look old and having old cars around. So I think, you know, through that process, we landed on Purgatory because there again, it's like, okay, phones don't work there. It's a strange universe. And then it's like, okay, now we have a way to work with this and make it old timey without making it a period piece.
Expensive old timey.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, was there anything in the script that you guys lost that you wanted to have on screen?
Well, it's pretty funny. The first couple drafts of this script, it was what we put out there, and we sent it out to like some funding bodies and that, and it would probably be like $100 million movie, which what was like in there. We had, we had Plater with the head collection, but we just pushed that way out where he's like bowling with heads and like there's all these body parts. And we had, because we were talking about how does time work in Purgatory, and we wanted memories to go away because, then it becomes more difficult. Kind of a Memento-like thing. We had these flies that would come back and suck the back of a neck and suck all your memories out.
Yeah, and that was all a function of we had these ideas about the cleaning and going to heaven or hell. But if you go to heaven or hell, then do you do things out of that? What's your motivation? So we're like, they don't know because the memory, it just gets all bananas. And then but we also were trying to write without the idea of, limiting in budget and like always having it curled. So let's blow it way out. We had blue men in suits that would come also like in crazy, like rubbery, they were called the Smurfs, and they'd come and they had like some sort of blasting machine. So it was all crazy. And then you get down to the core of the story and you draw it back in, make it viable and reasonable. But I guess in terms of this actual script, there was a couple things where we had, I think, Plater coming back, which we would have liked to have done, where he like gets beheaded and his head goes flying through the glass, and then he was supposed to sort of make an appearance near the end with like shards of glass in his head, and he'd all been sewed back together, really like Frankenstein-y. That seemed fun, but again, at the end of the day, what's going to stick, what's got to go. I think that was a big one that would have been interesting because he's a fun character.
Yeah, that kind of the fun thing right now is we've been talking with Tim Rozon, who's the lead actor who plays Jack, and he comes from Winona Earp and comic book background, and he's worked on the comic books on the Winona Earp prequels, and he was like, you guys should fucking do prequel comic books for this. And then it was like the first thing, started writing one. It was like, we're getting back the bowling of heads.
Yeah.
You can do anything. Now we can have the unlimited budget.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, origin story. So that's pretty fun.
That would be awesome. Because you're right, that's an amazing world you guys have set up. And there's so much lore you could explore.
Yeah, that's what we kind of talk about is we can go either way. So it's like the origin story of Jack and Flo arriving there. So that's what we're kind of delving into, which we always had in the story, which was Jack and Flo arrived, and Plater was kind of more of a rogue gang style. It wasn't really that organized as the Deadheads, but he comes and they rape Flo, and she's going on a revenge spree to
right. So
cut off all their members.
In Purgatory Jack, we definitely, making the film and writing the script, is we had this world around it. Some of it vague, some of it very clear about where they're from and where they're going to, because we feel like that makes the movie itself feel more vast and large. And it's not just this movie. There's a whole world out there we haven't even tapped into, but it's there.
Yeah, and that's why we have like the Jack going through the closet at the end. The idea, okay, you're seeing all these other kind of gang jackets. Now you can build, there's all these other gangs that he's taken down.
Well, the one aspect that I loved, it would be cool to see more on, is the limb, market. They actively search out other limbs and different interchanges and things like that. Like that's a whole little side story that you pepper on your story here, but I think it would be fascinating to understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it was the idea like, it's an opportunity to sort of improve yourself, or if something gets torn off, you can just, find another one. But also dabbling in the idea that, part of it was a statement about society nowadays and their obsession with like physical improvement, but warping it because they're not really improving themselves. They're kind of, they are in their insane, perverse version of purgatory improving themselves. But if you were to plunk them here in our society, they people would run to the hills.
I don't know, but I think it does kind of mirror society in that way. Like you do see celebrities where they're getting this constant work done, and their faces go, yeah, and like but they're seeing it. It's like body dysmorphia, and that's what we're kind of delving into with it. Is they are thinking they're making themselves more attractive, but it is you're ugly yourself.
Well, not only that, it's a tacit agreement amongst the people who are watching these celebrities that we all just don't say anything, and it's sort of we still go to the movies, and they're still a celebrity, and in the magazines, even though they look crazy, but why are we accepting that? Why doesn't anyone just say, "What? You look bananas"? And we touched on it a little bit at the Dr. K hospital too. And again, that would have been something to delve into, where it's like we can do anything. Like what would you do? Would you get a third arm? and it would be super handy, maybe, or just a smaller hand. Like you can do any. The sky's the limit once you get to it, but we couldn't spend too much time. But if you look in the deep background and stuff, there's some. We have a guy with like an extra hand coming out here, and just little touches like that.
That's what I mean. The playground you guys have set up is vast, and it would be so much fun to see more in that area. Any ideas on touching on other characters? Maybe not Jack, but other areas in Purgatory.
Yeah. I mean, we've started talking about other characters and just kind of working on the prequel comic books. Like one of them we already came up with was this, who was a small person, and he gets into he's in Purgatory, so he wants to make himself a regular-sized human. So he's got a small person torso and big person legs and a big person nose. So he looks all bizarre and awkward. So it's like, yes, there's so many avenues that we can go to, and
like that guy's going to be like a little Weasley informant type, that's sort of like a little henchman-y kind of guy, right? With a funny walk.
And the talk.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always formulate the voices and stuff too. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. Sky's the limit. So it's just kind of figuring it out and just doing those origin stories and going back. Because you start thinking about it, you're like, some of these people could be stuck there. They've been there for centuries, even if you want. Who knows?
Yeah. And that's kind of what we like to do too with the filmmaking, was connect it with that idea of the era that these characters were from. We can film it in that way. So that's how we decided on whenever we're doing Jack driving, we're going to do it in that 50s, 60s rear view projection style of filmmaking, which looks super cheesy, but we think it's like super cool. And it's of his time of when he was last alive on Earth.
Exactly. And then you get to Vivacious, which is more modern, and there's a modern style. That is excellent. How did you go about the casting for that? Because like with Tim Rozon and everybody was like dead on with the roles.
Yeah, I mean, a big thing for us when we're casting is we're not dealing with a lot of money, and we kind of get a list of our top choices and just reach out to their agents and be like, we really want them for this part, and we don't have a lot of money. And we've kind of built kind of reputation with agents that their actors like working with us. So we do have an in with them.
So we can get the script to the agents. They'll be like, "Oh, how you doing?" They know it's going to be a good project. It will reflect well on their actors. So it usually comes down to money, and then kind of got to be a little bit persistent. But some are really receptive. Like, Tim's agent was right into it. He does his due diligence. He was like, "Can I see your films?" We showed him an earlier film, First Round Down. He loved it. He literally said, he was like, "Guys, this is a great film. You clearly know what you're doing. You're welcome to anyone on my roster." And so he gave us a list of names. We're like, "Wow, really?"
Excellent.
And that's great. That doesn't happen often. A lot of agents, you won't even get past that point just because we're offering, the CPIP rate versus their normal rate. So you're always hoping for that thing where the agent understands the benefit of having their actor involved in an interesting project. So we're always sort of trying to countercast, and that's sort of our angle. We're like, well, this would be really good for the actor who always does these Hallmark Christmas movies. It's an opportunity that they can show their chops in a different way and maybe open the door. And that's kind of our angle. And that worked for Emily Alatalo.
Yeah. And it's also like just coming out to film festivals like this and watching Canadian content and finding actors. Like we saw Laura Burke in Poor Agnes years ago. And we're like, she is a force on screen. We definitely want to work with her. And we had this project and, sent it out, and she loved the script and was in.
And then because of the premise that you're familiar with, I don't know how much we want to divulge on Bits Radio, but we had to have sort of a similar look. So then the pieces kind of fall together in those ways as well. It's sort of like, well, if we do this, we got to do this. Yeah. Otherwise, it's not going to make much sense otherwise. So, and then it just all starts to land a little bit, and that's kind of how it worked for this one.
And we had originally worked with Joel Thomas Hines on First Round Down because we actually had cast his son, Percy, in a main role. And he was just 13. And it was like, if we cast Joel, then he can be looking after Percy while he's on set, and this works great. And then he was such a phenomenal actor, and he had such a small role in First Round Down, but he came with all these thoughts, and this backstory of this character, and he had a hat on. He made a backstory of how much he wanted this hat from this other character, and he's like, "Can I do that? Can we build this in?" Like, yes,
yeah.
And then he also, "Can I say cocksucker?" Yes. So we definitely had the idea. We were actually toying with the idea for a bit of Joel as Purgatory Jack, but like, no, he's just. And again, that would be kind of your counter because he's such a kind of gruff and rough-looking individual and a smaller dude. But we're like, no, he's just so perfect as player. He comes with costume. He comes with tattoos and gold
built
teeth.
in.
Oh, excellent.
We can avoid makeup. It's so easy. Yeah.
And then you cast Alexandra Beaton, I believe is the last name. Who, again, and I've gushed over you guys with having her before because I love 300.
Right.
Bringing her in is vivacious. Like, she nailed that role.
Yeah, and that was it. That was a reach out, and we just took a shot. Like we, knew some of her work, and we kind of knew like this again is kind of counter of what she's used to. But it's like we want this punk rock, but we do want this softer side to connect with an audience. And so,
it was surprising too. I mean, she definitely auditioned and called back. Like it wasn't like we just didn't make an offer. For Tim, we made an offer. We had no idea until first day of set, what it was going to be like. We're like, I think it'll be pretty good, and it was great. It's such a load off, but Alex, she auditioned and auditioned again, and came down to a couple. But again, she had that thing, that quality that we kind of liked, and we also thought that there was something in there that we would be able to extract from her. So, not being very familiar with a lot of her work beforehand, we did our sort of research, and we're like, "There's something there. There's an edge in there that I think is gonna be prominent and really." She'll get it, and it'll just sort of evolve as the story goes along. So we are really happy, and she's such a wonderful person as well, and very unlike Vivacious in terms of personality wise, which is great. Again, just a testament to her acting ability.
No, absolutely. Now, you had mentioned the story in there earlier about how this one was shelved for just a little bit, and that gave rise to another film just out of the blue, Unfriending. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a bit about that one? Because that one I still adore as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we were kind of sitting on some money for Purgatory Jack for a while, and got into the pandemic, and it was like, we don't know if we're going to get out of this thing or when, but we want to make a movie. And we also wanted to like be sharp for Purgatory Jack and not be like rusty directors coming in.
Right. What's that word you used to start the scene? Action. That's right.
Yeah. And so we were kind of like, how are we going to do this? There's limited amount of people you're going to have. So Jay and I were talking, it's like, let's do a one location movie. And then we're kind of bouncing around ideas for that. And of course, what was going on during that time, which was a very divisive society.
Yes.
And people just rushing to judgments on other people.
Was a keyboard warrior.
Oh, yes. And it was like, if you said something that another person disagreed with, it would be like, you are the worst human. I hate you. You deserve to die. I'm never going to speak to you again. And you see this, like we saw like friends just like fighting each other online.
Well, not just that, it was also friends on, say, Facebook, proudly announcing, I've just unfriended 50 people. Who's next? I dare you to,
Yeah,
it's like
I've
this
seen
sort
that,
of,
yes.
yeah. And it was like, I don't know if that's, you're taking a lot of pride in something. It's not great.
No.
So it was just all that. And then Brett pitched the idea, and I'd say it was a pretty rare occasion where it was like, yes, without even workshopping it. It was just the simplicity of the idea made a lot of sense to me right away. And then it came together probably quicker than any of our scripts.
Yeah, so the idea, and also it was kind of that birth, really the rise of cancel culture, of people being vilified for stuff that they did 10 years ago, or like tweets that they made, and being like, you shouldn't be alive anymore.
James Gunn.
Yeah. So the pitch was, what if we took what was going on in this online world of people making judgments and trying to cancel each other and made it face to face. So it was a friend group having a life intervention for one of their friends who they've decided has become too much of a loser and is a burden on him, and he should just commit suicide already. And it's like, yes, this works.
This works. And some people don't get the satire, but most do. And not everyone's going to laugh at everything, but a lot of people laugh at a lot of different stuff throughout, because these characters are so vain. They think so highly of themselves, yet none of them have really accomplished anything per se. But they have a vast knowledge of nothingness because they're just online all the time.
Yeah, and we took the idea of, okay, what are people being canceled for? And we're like, what if we made it just like the most mundane thing that this guy just bums them out? That's why he should kill himself. Because,
cancel culture.
Yeah.
Yes. No, and I think we spoke with the Chatham Film Festival, is that one judge is like, no, I don't like that topic. Mm-hmm. And that was his whole complaint, was the topic. Mm-hmm. Right? And I get that, because, people trying to force another person to kill themselves, it's not Disney. But it was the lines, because I swear to God, I've heard some of those lines that they say in that movie. I've seen them online, people posting it.
Right.
So just like you said, these people it's happening now. It's just over the internet.
Yeah. And we were hoping, like, by doing a movie and actually having people talk these lines out, that you'll realize how ugly it all sounds and how terrible. You should realize, ooh, I sound really bad. If I'm typing this, then that's how it actually sounds as verbiage.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And don't do it.
Yeah, you can't just casually tell someone they should just, screw off and go kill themselves and just, leave the earth because they have nothing to offer because their opinion on something is, in direct opposition of what you might feel. It doesn't give you the right to be like, just die already. Just die. Just shut up, curl up and die. It's so absurd. So we got a real kick out of just seeing people talk like that.
Yeah, and I think people do get scared of the premise of everything. But I think if an audience sticks with it, should be a very cathartic conclusion.
And that's
to the story.
What I tried to tell them at the end too. It's like, once you get to the end, it's like, wow, because you get that retribution you don't get online. Mm-hmm. You know, and it was so much fun, guys. Yeah. Congrats on that one as well. Yes.
Yeah, we're pretty happy with it for sure. It's still laugh. we laugh at our own film. That's what we do.
Is there any thoughts on expanding on the unfriending area, like pulling other aspects from the internet? I don't think any fit quite as well as that one. But.
Right. Yeah, I think that was a little bit of lightning in the bottle. But we're always taking inspiration from wherever it comes. So I'm sure something else will happen online that might be a nugget of a great idea.
Yeah, I think we were kind of inspired by that style of filmmaking that we ended up doing, which is super bare bones, but it allowed such a freedom where it was just us operating the camera. Had my wife Allie as production, costume design, sound person, and PA, and that was it. It was a very light crew, and we were able to work through our days very quickly. So we hadn't shot anything on our own in a long time. So we did shoot another film in February called Thanks for the Room, where it was a bigger film, but again, we operated a slightly bigger crew, but again, we shot it 12 days. We operated the cameras. And a couple people.
Did I hear correct in there? You had mentioned Unfriending was shot in 7 days?
Yeah.
A feature film in 7 days.
7 days. And that's, we've shot in shorter for features. Yeah, we did a feature in 5 days. And we did that one feature in 2 days. So
but that
was a two-hander in one apartment for the most part.
Wow.
And then like a day of traveling with Brett around doing shenanigans out on the streets.
Yeah, so it was all been kind of a experiment too with the idea. Well, okay, we can do this if we write a tight story, one location, bare bones, and Jay learned color grading, and we're doing that, and extending ourselves of what can be done.
Well, independent film, you learn a lot.
Yeah,
yeah. Sometimes it's too much. You just keep learning. You're like, I just don't want to learn anymore.
Yeah, it's full.
My tiny little brain, it's full. Absolutely. So yeah, so I mean, it's exciting times because there was a little bit of a lull there between one film and the next, and then all of a sudden a bunch. So it's been very invigorating and exhausting, but in the best way.
Excellent. What's the future for Purgatory Jack?
Well, we're going to Vegas next week. We're having our American premiere at the Sin City Horror Fest.
Oh, nice.
So we are super stoked about that. And then I think we'll just, continue on the festival circuit. We've got a lot of love internationally, especially in South America. So I think we'll keep playing festivals probably till maybe spring, early summer.
Yeah, early summer. I mean, you know how it works. There's a bunch of submissions out there, a lot for the U.S., just the way the festival circuit works. There's a lot in Canada in the fall, but, our film really wasn't ready until a lot of those were like late deadline submission dates.
Yeah.
So you're kind of beholden to a lot of things, but now there's a bunch available. So we're out there. So hopefully it's going to be a long list of, traveling the U.S. for the next few months. That should be fun, hopefully. And, I mean, it's our job to basically get it out there. It's being distributed here in Canada by Raven Banner, but outside of that, we got to find a home for it, and we want to find a home for it so people can see it wherever.
Now, in Canada, Raven Banner, is it virtual or is there going to be physical copies as well, like physical media?
I don't know. Hopefully physical. They do a lot of physical media, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping for a small theatrical, hopefully physical media. And
we got some deleted scenes. Yeah.
We need extra features.
There you go.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do. Yes, we do.
Yeah, love extra features. Love physical media.
Yeah, and we're willing to do a commentary. We'll wall-to-wall that thing. No problem.
Oh, my God, that would be a blast.
So,
Yeah, okay. How do I get a hold of Raven Banner? We need to make
that's right.
this happen.
Let's start that right now.
Yep. Hashtag we need the extra features.
There we go. Totally.
Guys, thanks so much. Congratulations on Purgatory Jack and Unfriending. I know Unfriending wasn't here, but it should have been. It's fun.
Yeah,
Kelly, what the heck?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for doing this, Rob.
Yeah, we'll be screening Unfriending here in Toronto at the Review Cinema December 10th at 3 p.m. Should be a lot of fun. We'll be there for Q&A. Cass is going to be there, and beers afterwards for sure.
There we go. Well, guys, anytime you want to come back on Bits Radio, just let me know.
All right, sounds great.
good.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Join us next time for Blood in the Snow Radio. Bits Radio is a production of Three Evil Cats Productions in association with the Blood in the Snow Canadian Film Festival. For more information and to listen to other episodes, visit bloodinthesnow.ca and tweet us at BitsFilmFest. Music by Jen Gorman, produced and edited by Kelly Michael Stewart. I am Eduardo Correa.